everybody. Welcome back to the Anxious Love Coach channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that I learned battling and overcoming relationship anxiety. My name is Natalie and I'm a relationship anxiety coach, and I'm also the CEO and founder of Anxious Love Coach, as well as the host for the Anxious Love Coach podcast. I've been with my partner for 9 years, and for the 2nd through 7th years, I had really bad relationship anxiety. I had one foot out the door, always constantly doubting. I almost left my partner twice. And there's a lot I've learned in my process of finally pulling my foot out the door and building the love that I always wanted, and finally stopped sabotaging and not trusting myself. So I'm hoping that today you can get some insight from my path and maybe you can apply it to yours. Number 1, your partner will not, cannot, should not meet all of your needs. I actually have a whole podcast on this. It's called Why Your Partner Can't Meet All or Even Most of Your Needs. And that one is on my podcast. You can find it in the show notes. Personally, I think relationships are one category of your life. Romantic relationships are a smaller category within the larger context of relationships. But we have lots of needs such as community and health and exercise and social stimulation, intellectual stimulation, humor. We have lots and lots and lots of needs, and our partner is just not equipped to meet them all. I know a lot of people say that, like, when you find the right person, when you find the one, they're going to feel like that missing puzzle piece. And I actually really don't think that that's true. I think your partner is someone that you want to do life with, but that's something you do side by side. It's not like a completion. They don't complete you. And for that reason, you're going to have to meet some of your needs yourself. You're going to need to get some met from your family, some from a pet maybe, some from a hobby, some from your friends, and yes, some from your partner, of course. But I think it's very unrealistic that your partner has to meet most of your needs. I think maybe some is more realistic. And once I really understood this and started taking responsibility for a lot of aspects in my life, my spirituality, my intellectuality, my humor, my joy, once I started taking responsibility for a lot of those and outsourcing that to my career and to my friends and to my family, my loved ones, I found that my relationship with my partner became a lot more satisfying. And it wasn't because I kind of just went into denial about, the state of the relationship, that he wasn't meeting my needs. Not at all. Actually, by releasing him from the pressure to satisfy all these parts of me, he was actually able to meet me in the best ways that he knew how to, in the unique ways that he's really good at. And that has allowed me to enjoy the relationship for what it is, as opposed to fussing about what it's not. Number 2, a lot of people might disagree with me on this one, but I think it's actually very normal and healthy to be attracted to other people. It lets you know that you're still alive. It lets you know that there are different sides of yourself that you still haven't discovered, because usually when we find ourselves crushing on someone, it's because they brought out a side of us that we've been missing for a long time. And that can tell you a lot about yourself if you're willing to not take that initial infatuation at face value. I am really into my partner, so serious, and I still sometimes occasionally find myself swept away by a fantasy or a crush, and I don't get so wrapped up now in the fantasy future making with this other person. I don't really question my relationship. I now see a crush as a sign that there's a side of me that I've been missing. What side of me did that person bring out, and how can I bring more of that side of me into this relationship and into my life? Number 3, when you're in a healthy relationship, any doubts you are experiencing generally have a lot more to do with faulty boundaries that are causing you to feel resentful in your life and potentially also in your relationship. It can also have to do with unprocessed trauma, or you might have absorbed some disempowering views on relationships. When I talk about unprocessed trauma, I remember going to see a coach when my relationship anxiety was really bad. Press and I were both in her office. Wasn't a therapist, but she was a relationship coach, and she was fantastic. And she was the first person to point out to me that I had a paralyzing fear of commitment that was based on past trauma. Up until then, I'd seen several therapists about my doubts in relationship, and they had all told me that this was maybe my intuition talking, but some part of me didn't believe them, didn't want to believe them. And honestly, it just made me feel like shit whenever they said that. So when a coach finally told me, no, it's very clear to me you love your partner. You're just terrified of commitment. You've had 5 divorces across, your entire parental history. So it makes sense. And that got me started on a long healing journey. And once I was able to reconcile a lot of the reasons why I was so terrified of commitment and integrate them and feel more at ease, forgive my family, forgive myself, it became so much easier for me to step into the risk of love, open myself up to getting my heart broken again, open myself up to potentially fucking it all up, and proceeding anyway, even though the fears are there. And the last reason that someone might have a lot of doubts about their relationship is there's so much confusing relationship advice out there today. If you just go on TikTok, all you have to see is someone posting a video like, if your man doesn't do this, this, and this, they're not the one, honey. And some of these things are so specific that plenty of wonderful men might not do for you. And I actually believe that a lot of relationship advice today sets us up to be quite entitled in relationship, when in reality, a healthy relationship, you got to put 100% of yourself in, your partner's got to put 100% of themselves in, and it's actually a very selfless act. I don't believe that, entitlement has a place in a healthy relationship. That's not to say, settle for abuse, settle for neglect, not at all. But when you've got a partner that is clearly invested in the longevity of this relationship, clearly invested in your well-being, there is no place for entitlement. I hate to say it, but it's true. The happiest I've ever been in a relationship has been when I have been in devotional service to my partner. Now, in order for me to be able to offer that, I really had to get over a lot of trauma. So another topic for another day. Number 4, I remember doing a TikTok on this one. The skills that make you so successful in your career may sabotage you in a relationship. And I had so many questions of people asking about, what do I mean by that? Well, I'm not saying all, but I'm saying a lot of the things that make you progress in your career, such as, tenacity, competition, ego, which ego can be very healthy when you're, trying to grow in your career. Having a healthy sense of self and asserting yourself and, being competitive. These are all really good things. If you are a school teacher, part of being a wonderful school teacher is ordering students around, telling people what to do, providing consequences, and there's a little bit of wiggle room there as to whether, schools are effective today with this method of teaching. But my point is, to be a school teacher, you kind of need to direct and delegate and do everything. In a healthy relationship, it is not so much this way. Sometimes if you start to order your partner around, it's going to blow up in your face. If you are a lawyer and you are trying to kind of manipulate the way that a reality is perceived, that's what lawyers do. That's not going to work well in a relationship. If you are a coach or a therapist, and part of what makes you an incredible coach is your ability to help people through their trauma and kind of get them to feel better, this skill in relationship might make your partner feel very resentful of you. So I definitely don't recommend therapizing or coaching your partner. It's a great way for both of you to feel resentful. And lastly, number 5, forget finding a person that makes you happy. And that's not to say go find someone who makes you miserable, because that's not going to work either. But I think so much of culture today has made it sound like if you find the right person, they're going to make you happy. And that is a great way to put a ton of pressure on your relationship. Relationships make us happy, yes, but a person is not, like a specific person is not responsible for your happiness. That's your job. And your partner should support your process of making yourself happy. There's a difference. So if you love, dancing, or you love to sing, or you want to go study XYZ in college, you should have a partner that supports you in that process. If your partner's not supporting your goals, if your partner's not supporting you desiring something out of your life, that's a problem. However, if you're depressed, or you're going through a really difficult time, or you're angry, your partner is not responsible for rescuing you from your anger. A lot of people who hear this advice, find someone who makes you happy, make that mean if I'm upset, my partner should be able to fix it. And if they can't, they're not the right partner. That is not true. So relationship advice is a lot more nuanced than that. And actually in my group programs, we actually spend a whole couple of weeks talking about disempowering belief systems that show up in relationships. We talk about how these belief systems are formed, how they serve you in one situation, but not in another. And the idea of find someone that makes you happy is empowering in the sense that your partner should add value to your life. But we can take that to an extreme. And it's important to be able to discern and know where that line is. And to know where that line is learning how to trust yourself and learning how to discern between advice that you read on the internet and what your own internal compass says. Find someone who supports you making yourself happy. Sure, your partner should add to your life, but they're not responsible for rescuing you from a difficult feeling. So we definitely cover a lot of this in our programs. I have a co-coach named Sheridan that takes one-on-one. So if you're interested in getting support one-on-one, I trained Sheridan. She has the same anxious love coach philosophy and is very passionate about it herself. She was actually one of my first clients. So if you're interested in one-on-one, my co-coach Sheridan is taking clients. And if you're interested in Relationship Anxiety Alchemist, which is our group program, you can find the application process on our website, anxiouslovecoach.com. So I hope that you found these helpful. If you are in the thick of relationship anxiety, I promise you that it gets better. I can't say with certainty how quickly that is. I mean, I spent 5-6 years having relationship anxiety, arguably with just one partner. So yeah. If you love this, please like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know if this is resonating with you. Be sure to subscribe also to our podcast, the Anxious Love Coach podcast. Lots of great stuff on there that is not on YouTube. Join the Anxious Love Coach Collective on Facebook. My co-coach Sheridan and I answer a lot of questions on there. And if you'd like to work with us, be sure to check out our website. Thanks for watching. See you next time.